Hello, my name is Adam Winrich, 34-time Guinness World Record holder for whip cracking, and this video is about can cutting, a cow whip versus a bull whip. So here I am in very sunny Phoenix, where I usually spend the winter. In February, I'll be doing the Arizona Renaissance Festival, and in January, there will be the 2025 Los Angeles Whip Cracking Convention on January 11th in Burbank. I'll put a link to that event page down in the comments. So now about these two whips. So I have a order from a whip performer in Australia, and she wanted a whip for cutting cans. Usually what I would sell is a sort of Florida cow whip, and normally how I would braid a can cutting whip is I would braid it from the point and I would leave the core in the parachute cord and add strands as I go and add core strands as I go. And then you can see I've taken a couple of the overlay strands, hitched them around, and then I braid a little bit more, I bind that off, and then I use these hitch strands as my sort of tie-in strands for the cow whip. And this is what I would usually sell, but if you follow Nick Schrader's whip channel, you'll see we came up with a design I called the Bare Bones Bullwhip, loosely based on what I came up with for Aaron Bonk's juggling whips, and I thought that might be actually a nice design for can cutting. The only difference with this model from the Bare Bones model that you see in Nick's page is that, see, this whip came out 6 foot 8 inches. I have about 3 feet of ball chain in the core, and then just like in that build though, the overlay is ungutted strands of paracord braided from the point. And the only other thing I added, instead of just putting a chair tip as a butt end on the whip, I actually went ahead and tied pineapple knots, so it makes it look a little bit nicer. And I wanted to make this video to try out both of these whips so the customer in Australia can decide which one she wants, or if she wants both. And pretty much to my mind though, this design of leaving the core in a bullwhip, I forgot to mention too, this bullwhip is wax. The Bare Bones bullwhip is not a wax design, so I waxed it for a little bit more weight. But the idea of using this kind of build for a can cutting whip is that paracord with the guts left in makes for a much more durable whip. I've used a whip like this excuse me, for opening beer bottles, and it's oftentimes you'll end up hitting part of the whip on the metal bottle top. So I've done that with this kind of build with the core left in, and even though the metal bottle top will cut the paracord a little bit, it won't cut it all the way through, and the whip keeps on cracking even after a lot of hits and cuts on it. So we'll start out with the bullwhip. First, I should mention, just for general cracking, I think this bullwhip turned out nicer than the cow whip, because the bullwhip has a more even taper. With the cow whip for cutting cans, usually most of the taper is it's pretty straight for this part, and it only really tapers down at the end. So it makes for a kind of a chunkier whip. Now let's do a little bit of whip cracking. The bullwhip cracks pretty nice, and a little bit with the cow whip. So they both crack pretty good overall. The overall length of the cow whip's a little bit more, and the cow whip feels a little bit heavier in the hand. When I tried these out earlier, I actually had a little bit more trouble trying to aim the cow whip, but man, it's just a matter of getting used to it. I should also mention both whips have the same cracker on the end. They both have a twisted Dyneema cracker with a bunch of extra knots tied in. So now I'll try the bullwhip first and see how it goes through the can. Bam! First try. Let's try one more. Not miss that one. I should mention, when it comes to cutting cans, or at least my style, I am doing a sidearm flick, but a couple things I'm doing differently. You notice I start with the whip in front, I lift it to the back, and then throw it forward, and I'm also really turning my hips and really following through, bam, with the swing. And then the final part of it is that I'm actually cracking, to my mind, I'm cracking the whip very much to the left of the can, or like I'm trying to crack way over here. To your perspective, I'm cracking behind it. So if you throw the whip out right at the can, the whip will actually crack somewhere over here. So I'm throwing it to the left of the can, so it'll actually crack on the can. That's a good one. Now I'll do a couple with the cow whip. So one way to make sure I'm actually getting the right distance is if I dampen the cracker a little bit, there'll be a little poof of vapor as the whip cracks, and that lets me know where it's cracking, and I can see where the whip is cracking and how I need to adjust my aim. That one went off like the holy hand grenade of Antioch. I think as this one's longer, I'm overshooting the can a little bit. There, finally got one. I'll see if I do one more. Yeah, great way to end the video. That was what is called the perfect cut that I learned about from my father-in-law, Jose Granados, who performed as Don Juan at Renaissance festivals, leaving the bottom half of the can sitting on the stool. So you can see I struggled a little bit more with the cow whip. Still a good whip, but I think if I were gonna own one of these whips, I'd probably pick the Bullwhip myself. And if you're interested in buying one of these from me, I'll sell either model for $200. There you go, my name is Adam Winrich. Thanks for watching.